Ladies and gentlemen, that's the man who was leading such a great ship. How was it? How was it under the water for so many months and years, I think?
I've spent 7 years of my life living underwater.
It's like completely dark all the time?
It's dark underwater. This is one of the big arguments we had when we made the game, The Dive, is because the gamers want a big window so you can see everything. And it's like, no, submarining happens in your head. It all happens up here in your head. It's like playing chess on an invisible chessboard, and you have to picture it up in your head. So for me, it was fun because I like playing chess, and I was good at conceptualizing what was happening out there in the world. But a lot of people, it's disconcerting because you can't see anything. It's all in your head.
Once when I was visiting a museum of technique in London, there was exhibition about the submarines, and there was like a tiny box. If you want to smell how it smells over there in the submarine, just open the box. I just put my nose over there like, whoa, man.
The smell is a big thing. And even on the modern nuclear submarines, of course the diesel submarines smell horrible because no one washed, there's no laundry. But on the nuclear submarines, we have one washing machine for 140 people. So it's pretty much going all the time. And water is very precious, even though you would think it, but pure water is very precious. So you take a shower, you turn the water on for like 30 seconds, you get wet, then you turn the water off, then you soap, then you turn the water on, rinse, then you turn it off and you're done. So the whole thing, you use like 1 minute of water.
So are you taking now like a long shower at home? Like,
yeah,
years?
That's one of the first things you do when you get home. You just let all that water come.
Great. How is it to be a leader in such a strange circumstances, like under the water, with a bunch of guys or women as well? Most guys?
Yeah, so we had only men on Santa Fe, but now submarines have men and women. But it's funny, what becomes normal to you. If you go to an office building every day, that's normal. If you go to a garage and work on cars, that's normal. If you go underwater and work on a submarine, that becomes normal. So this is just like, this is like our office. It's normal. It's really weird how it becomes normal. And then everyone else is like, oh wow, that is really odd. Like, well, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm an airplane mechanic. Oh, well, that's weird. You're out there you're like, no, that's normal for me.
For me, the most amazing thing in the book, Turn the Ship Around. Polish title is Zmień kurs. Can you pronounce it? Zmień kurs?
Zmień kurs.
Perfect. The biggest difficulties for you were, you were prepared for a completely different task, right? And you had only 2 weeks to prepare yourself for completely new environment, completely different office.
Yeah.
And how was it? It was crazy. Like, men on the board, you dive, and how to navigate the ship without knowing the ship.
Yeah, so it's the basics were the same. I mean, the theory was the same, and the hydrodynamics, the science was the same, but the specific buttons that you would push were all different. It was a different kind of submarine, and I was brought up in this world where the captain has to be the one who knows everything. No one can know more than the captain, because the captain has to give all the orders. Therefore, the captain has to know all the answers. And if the captain doesn't know anything, then that's almost like a mutiny. That is be so embarrassing that no captain doesn't want to not know all the answers. And it really was hard because when I went. So I got shifted over to the Santa Fe at the last minute. So I had 2 weeks. You can't learn a nuclear submarine in 2 weeks. And so I was sort of trying to pretend like I knew everything, but I didn't. It didn't work out.
So it was time for a completely new approach. Like, hey guys, I don't know nothing about the ship.
Yeah.
You are the leaders. Show me how to lead you.
Right. Well, I said, look, here, the problem is, I gave an order that was a bad order. And I always thought if when I gave bad orders, I said, oh, I need to give better orders. But this time I said, you know what? That's not what I need. What I need is to figure out how I don't have to be the one giving orders. That they come to me and tell me, here's what we should do, here's what I intend to do, here's what I like to do, here's what I recommend doing. And then I can think about it and then make it I can still stop it. But they're all coming to me. Otherwise, if I say, hey, why don't we do this? When the boss says something, people go along. It's harder for them to say, you know what, that's really not a good idea on this ship. That's not how it works on this ship. You want that to be like that. But very often, we just go along because it's easier to say later, well, I was just doing what I was told. How many times do we hear that?
I sent you the email, you saw what I wanted to do, so hey,
right.
It's your problem, boss, right?
Right, exactly.
So it means like people are, they stop thinking actually about their solutions, and they switch off their brain.
That's exactly right. When you start telling them what to do, you just gave them permission, they switch off their brain. And this is the big problem. And we have, in English, we have what we call, people want to be a can-do organization, which means, we get stuff done. But think about it, what does that mean? We don't say we want to be a can-think organization. That sounds weird. That's not a phrase. But what I needed was thinking. And I say that's what companies need. That's what you want in your company, I'm guessing. I mean, sometimes you say, okay, here's a policy. I need you guys to do this, but then you just have to be right all the time. Even when you're wrong, they're still going to do it. And so what you want is everybody thinking, everyone coming to you. Hey, Marcin, how about this? Here's an idea. We could do this. We could start this. We could get this book. I read this book. I saw this. Here's an opportunity. Like, let's expand down into the Czech Republic or, whatever it happens to be. They're coming up with ideas. So
why bosses wants to, keep the control in their hands in such an old-fashioned way? Because, most of bosses that I know, my colleagues, they have great companies as well. They want to keep the power in their hands. They feel they need to point directly where the employees need to go and whatever. I don't want to do in such a way. I don't want to work such a way because it's, in destroying me inside. I don't want to be the person pointing to this. I just want to be, yes, no, maybe, the answer. I want to follow you.
Well, I think, first of all, our brains are partly wired to like that. Our brain, it's like being addicted to a drug. People come to you and they say, oh, boss, what should I do? And you say, I'll do this. Oh, thank you, boss. And they go, and then the next person, oh, what should I do? Oh, do this. And your brain likes that attention. And when you start moving away from it, you say, well, what's my value? What am I doing? How can I be important here? And to me, you have to, what you have to deal with as a leader. You have to figure out that your value is in helping other people with their lives. It's not just, take. I use my people to make my life better. No, your job is to help them make their life. If you do that, your life will be even better than it would have been. Because it's all gonna work together. But that's a long-term approach. You have to think beyond today, beyond this week, beyond this year.
It sounds like bosses want to be like gods who know everything.
Yeah, I think they do. They like the attention that comes from that. I was like that. But it's more than that. It's more complicated than that. It's not just that, I like the attention. It's I feel like I'm the one who has to make things happen. And if I stop telling people, go, they're just going to sit there like this. But the problem is, the reason they're sitting there like this is because I keep telling them, go. So I have to and lean back. This is the big thing. We always think, I lean in. No, you lean back. They lean into you. If you're leaning, they can't lean into you until you lean back first. And And then they're coming to you with ideas.
And you wrote an amazing book describing all process, and I'm sure when you speak with entrepreneurs, there's such a great resistance when they hear your stories, your way of redefining leadership, I would say. So what are you saying, telling them to make them think differently and trying to see different perspective?
Look, for me, it was about two things. It was about making it safe. Psychological safety was a big thing. It had to be safe for me and safe for them. And safety comes from choice and making it small. So rather than saying, oh, you tell me, I say, well, what do you see? What do you think? What would you like to do? What would you do if you were me? What would you do if I weren't here? And so it's small steps, not just.
It's like a baby steps in a long time. It makes different. Like 1% change each day gives you a 100% change in a year.
Huge, exactly, huge. But it doesn't feel like we're doing anything, but it all adds up.
And is it good, way of thinking for a small organization, for a big organization, like for people who are working for themselves, even? Because it sounds great, but some people would say, okay, I'm a small company, I just have 3 employees and so on, so I cannot give them the leadership in their hands because I need to tell them where to go because we are such a small company. At the same time, huge company can say the same. We are so huge we cannot give leadership to other people because we are too big.
It's even more important in a bigger company. You have all these people. You have 10,000 people. You have 10,000 brains. But what you really have in the company is 100 brains and 9,900 people just doing what they're told. And they come to work and they leave their brain at home. You're missing the most valuable part because machines and robots are going to take over all the doing part. And so all you're going to be left is the only people at the end of the day that matter are the 100 people. And you're paying all these people. So, and it's not good for them. Humans don't like coming to work and leaving their brain at home. Humans like solving problems. Humans like doing something that matters. They'll like it.
And when I think about your mission, submarine mission, well, for me, like super crazy because you cannot fire anyone like for a couple of months because you work with a team that you have on your deck and you cannot fire anyone.
Yeah, this is the key thing. The team you have, just assume they're going to be with you forever. Make them as best as you can. I couldn't fire anybody and I couldn't hire anybody. People spend too much time worrying about that. And then they don't spend enough time worrying about what happens when they get together. The most important thing for team performance is how the team interacts, not who's on the team. Google did a study on this. It's called Project Aristotle. And and if you see what they found out in Project Aristotle, it's not who's on the team, it's not what positions they're in, it's how the team interacts. Do people feel it's okay to say, oh, here I have a new idea? Might not be right, but let's try it. Do they say that? Say, no, I'm not going to say that. Too scary.
I want to provoke you a bit. Do you think talent doesn't matter because it's more important that the way that we interact as a team, not as a person?
Yeah. Sometimes you need to be working as an individual, and I call it your head down and you're just doing the work. But sometimes you need to be interacting as a team. So it's both. Team, individual, team. Not always team, not always individual. Both. So you want to get ideas and stimulations from the team, but then spend some time. Science shows that it's that ritual, that balance, that's the best.
A friend of mine, he's saying that he wants to create a crew, not a team. Because in a crew you cannot, change people. In a team you can change some parts. And actually you have a real crew on the boat. Can you elaborate on this about a little bit?
If those words mean that's different for him, then those are good words for him to use. I think you could also say, well, this is our team. We can't fire anyone on the team. But for him, if he wants to say, hey, this is what it means to be in a crew, we're making a commitment. I think the difference is the commitment. We're committing to do this together. And I'm committing to support you. And you're committing that when we need you, you're not going to be there. And you're not going to say, oh, well, it's really hard today, so I can't show up. No, you're committing. So we make a commitment, but we know what we're going to do together.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing is like a mindset. And the second thing, when I'm catching right from your talk, right communication. How to communicate in a proper way, your mission, how to communicate with your crew. What are your tips and tricks for a great communication in a team?
So on a team, one of the things you want to do as a leader is ask the team what they think before you tell them what you think. Because when you tell them what you think, they're going to say, oh yes, boss, that's even in a small way. And what you did is you made it harder for the people who think differently than you to speak up. You want to ask questions in a way that makes it easy for them to speak up. So instead of saying something like, oh, so we're good to go here, right? Everything's okay, right? You have the things you need, right? You ask questions like, what are we missing? How could this be wrong? That kind of thing.
So you're giving much more questions than answers, right? So the old-fashioned way, like giving answers, and your new way of leading is leading by questions.
You have to ask questions, but the questions have to come from you being curious and thinking they know something that you don't know. If the question comes from you think you know the answer, then that's not a good question.
All right, because sometimes you are giving questions because they want to hear the right answer, right? In your mindset, no, I'm curious to listen. What's your proposition? What's your answer? What's your idea for the problem, right?
It always seems faster if you think you have the answer and you just, I'll tell them the answer and then we can start doing things again. Instead of sitting in this meeting talking about it, I'll just say do it and then we go out and do it. But then they don't own it. There's no ownership, there's no commitment, and there wasn't any collaboration. So what you want is collaboration so that they say this is our idea, now they're all in behind it, as opposed to, that's the boss's idea. So I'm like, if it doesn't work out, whatever.
Understand. There's a lot of simple ideas which sounds very logic, but I think many of people have old habits that are stopping them from actually implementing these new ideas. So it's all about baby steps and testing, choosing the right solutions.
Yeah, I mean, that changing habits is really hard, and this was one of the problems, is the language that we use, we're used to a certain language, and when you come to me, I respond in a certain way, and we had to change all those responses. So if someone comes up and says, well, tell me what to do, you would say, oh, here's what you should do. And we would say, don't do that, and stop that. Instead, ask, what do you see? What do you think about the situation? Then, if you need to tell them what to do, fine, tell them what to do, but that's after.
And how long it takes to change organization, to turn the ship around? Days, months,
it depends on the size. Yeah. How long it takes depends on the size and how, if everyone comes to, if you got a 10-person company, they come to the same office every day, they sit around the same table for lunchtime, then that's going to change pretty fast. But if you got a 100-person company and you're in 5 different cities and you don't see people all the time, then that's going to change slower. A submarine changes pretty fast because it's more like we're all together all the time. We eat together.
All day.
Yeah, all day.
Okay. And what about, new technology, social media, like Skypes and so on? I think that people are spending much more time online than offline. And you were saying when people actually interact in real life. So how would you use these tools, like new technology,
I think that technology is great and it makes it a lot better, but I think you still need to bring people together, and so they actually meet them. If you brought everyone together and then they go away, I think that's a better connection. But I have a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur in San Francisco, and he started his next company. There's no office. They all use Zoom and Slack, and they're just all communicating that way. And he says it's actually better. It's actually better. He says what happens in a company where there's some people are in the office and some people are out is the people who are out feel like they're second-class citizens. So you just make everybody equal. Everybody's interacting through the computer.
Okay, and I think it's a bunch of very useful tips and tricks from you and your book, and I hope we'll have a chance to speak more and divide this topic in a small one to dive deeper, to give some answers.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited that my book is out in Polish.
It is.
Zmień kurs.
Great. So the question is when you are coming to Poland, sir?
When am I coming to Poland? I would love to come. I have never been to Poland. I've been to Germany, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Hungary, Russia, Moldova, and Sweden. I've been all around Poland, but I've never been to Poland.
So now it's a great chance to visit to see your Polish book.
I would love to. Everything I read and see, it looks beautiful.
Amazing. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope we'll have a chance to speak more in the future, and I will have a chance to give you the book like in person in Poland.